Muhammad Faris, the Neil Armstrong of the Arab world, has passed away. He was the first and the only cosmonaut from Syria. He breathed his last in Turkiye, where he was living as a refugee for the last 12 years. How did this national hero end up living in exile? How did he go from cruising among the stars to fighting for his fellow refugees? Our next report tells you the story of Muhammad Faris. Take a look.
The Neil Armstrong of the Arab world has departed to be among the stars. His name was Muhammad Faris. He was the first cosmonaut from Syria and the second from an Arab state. But Faris wore many hats. Through the course of his life, he saw the roles of fighter pilot, spaceman, military advisor to the Assad regime, then a protester and a refugee. He breathed his last in Turkiye at 72 following a long illness. He'd been living there as a refugee for the last 12 years. How did he end up there? Let's start from the top. Muhammad Ahmad Faris was born in 1951 in Aleppo. In 1973, he graduated from the military pilot school. Soon he became a pilot in the Syrian Air Force, specializing in navigation. But it was in 1985 when Faris rose to fame. He was selected to join the Soviet Union's Inter-Cosmos program. After 2 years of training, he made his journey to space on a Soyuz 3 with 3 Russian cosmonauts. Faris was in space for 7 days, 23 hours and 5 minutes, and according to him, it changed his life. He carried out scientific experiments and photographed Syria from space. He left Earth as a man of humble origins, but he returned as a national hero. He had reached the stars after all. Faris was named a hero of the Soviet Union. He was awarded the Order of Lenin for his role in the Inter-Cosmos program. A school, an airport, and roads were named after him. During his time in space, he decided to quit the military. He made it his mission to educate people in science and astronomy. What prompted him to take this decision? Faris was quoted as saying, "When you've seen the whole world through your window, there is no us and them, no politics." He wanted to pass on the privileged view he had been given. After his return, Faris asked President Hafez al-Assad to fund a national space science institute to help other Syrians reach space. But the answer was an emphatic no. Instead, Faris was installed at the Air Force College, teaching hundreds of young men to fly fighter jets. He was the top gun, but according to Faris, those were empty powers. When Hafez died in 2000, his son Bashar al-Assad took over. Soon, Faris, being the head of Syria's Air Force Academy, became his military advisor. But he still hoped to head quietly into academia. More importantly, he despised the ways of the Assad regime. So he participated in the Syrian revolution that started in 2011. Initially, the protests were peaceful. Both Faris and his wife joined in. He was threatened by the supporters of the Assad regime, but that did not stop him from speaking up. When the violence began, Faris began planning his escape. With 3 children and a wife to think about, he left nothing to chance. Eventually, they packed what they could in a car without arousing suspicion and drove over the Turkish border in 2012. He set up an office in Istanbul and publicly opposed the Syrian regime. Since then, Faris campaigned for democratic change in Syria, through words, not weapons. Now, he has left this world, but will always be remembered as a hero.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.